Government and building codes. I thought this stuff was supposed to be boring. Those were super interesting, all of those. So I'm here to talk to you about a project. Take about 10 minutes. So the last 50, 60 years, I'm talking about average America. Housing's grown from about 1,000 square feet to 2,300 while families have shrunk. So we have about triple the space we used to 50 or 60 years ago. That's a lot more space. Unfortunately, at the same time, or interestingly, shopping has somehow become a hobby. We've become so good at shopping that even with triple the amount of space, we need more space off-site to hold our stuff. So personal storage industry is now a $22 billion industry, 2.2 billion square feet. So in the last 50, 60 years, it's been a period of abundance. We have a lot more stuff and a lot more space. Let's look at where we are, though. What else has happened in the last 50, 60 years? So we've also learned to live beyond our means, both financially and environmentally. So there's a lot of debt, credit card, mortgage, and also environmentally our footprints are massive. And speaking about architecture specifically, we've learned to make buildings that are very airtight, and the nature of the products inside them are much more sort of chemically oriented. So we have a lot of indoor air pollution, about 5 times as bad as outdoor air pollution. The big question, though, should be, with all this abundance, are we happier, right? Well, interestingly, as GDP has gone up in the last 50, 60 years, happiness is basically flatlined or down. So what I'm here to suggest that maybe, just maybe, bigger isn't always better, and that maybe we need to rethink this. Maybe that less can actually equal more. So I'd like to propose that, done in a smart manner, that less stuff and less space is going to make for a smaller environmental footprint. It's a smart way to save some money. Done environmentally can lead to better health. And with less things to worry about, living within your means, both financially and environmentally, it's also going to give you a little more freedom, a little more time, a little more space, a little more happiness. So New York City, we've heard about some of the challenges. We've got 900,000, 1 million people coming in the next 20 years. From what I understand, we have room for 50 or 100,000. Clearly, we need to figure out density. We also have Plan NYC, so a lot of environmental objectives. And so this project ties very nicely into these 2 challenges, and so I'm happy to be starting it in New York City. The project's called Life Edited, the luxury of less. What we're trying to do is basically build a movement around less space and less stuff. So we're trying to enable small living by finding and sharing, pointing to, amazing solutions that enable small living. The ones that are missing, we want to either build them or act as catalysts to get other people to build them. So we're talking about spatial design, how to learn to design for small spaces, so architecture. Product design, multifunctional furniture, and I also include sharing systems as part of this. And lifestyle design. So how do you go from 26 pairs of pants to 6 and have it stay that way and understand the benefits of that? And that applies to pretty much everything in your life. So how do you live small? I'll give you a quick primer, four main points. First of all, you have to edit ruthlessly. So you need to learn how to clear the arteries of your life. That shirt that I've been carrying around for 6 years that I've worn once or none, it's time for me to let that go. And that applies to my whole life. I also need to learn to stem the inflow. Instead of just buying, I need to ask myself, do I really need that? And more importantly, is it really going to make me happier? Is it truly going to make a difference? Secondly, we need to learn to think small. Design-wise, we want things that are designed for how they're used the vast majority of the time, not the rare occasion. Why have a 5-burner stove when you rarely ever use 3? We want stuff that's space efficient, stuff that nests, stuff that stacks, stuff that folds. Here's some fun chairs that you can hang on your wall. or my bike, great folding bike that I hang in my closet. Digitization is magic. It takes physical things and makes them disappear. So whether it's your music, Spotify, TV, movies via Netflix, paperwork via your scanner, we want to digitize to enable smaller living. Thirdly, we want to focus on less but better. I'm not saying renounce all your possessions. We need stuff, that's clear. What I am saying is you want good stuff, stuff that you'll love, stuff that'll last a long time, not just stuff. We want resoldable, great pair of shoes. We want a beautiful chair that's comfortable, that'll last decades and still look good. Cast iron cookware that'll last forever. And finally, we want multifunctional spaces and products. Buckminster Fuller asked many, many years ago, why our bedrooms are empty 2/3 of the time, our living rooms 7/8 of the time, our offices half of the time. He suggested we need to think about this. An empty space is not helping anyone. It's not doing anything for us. It's like a car at a stoplight. So I think that we need to think about how we get the most bang out of our buildings. So a better metric for green architecture would be the amount of carbon per occupant hour. So total up all the energy it takes to create and maintain and take down a building over its entire lifetime, and then divide that by how much it's used. That's the important metric. So a very green building that's not used very much compared to a totally ungreen building that's used a lot, the totally ungreen building, in my opinion, is going to be way greener. It's about utility. It's about the bang for your buck, for the carbon and the resources you put into it. So we need to move towards 24-hour architecture. How do we get more out of our spaces? So there are things like this amazing resource furniture, actually showroom right near here. You don't sleep while you eat eat while you sleep. So doing those two things in the same space through an amazing piece of multifunctional furniture just makes sense. This table just folds out of the way under the bed. Here's a table that expands from 15 inches to 115 to seat 10 people. Here's a combination toilet sink where the gray water from the sink feeds the toilet. So the first part of this project was just experimenting with some architecture and actually building some stuff. We wanted something that fit. We had this big need for places for singles, so we wanted small enough for a single, but big enough for a couple. By choosing to buy a place that was around 400 square feet, basically what we were trying to do was get the utility, the functionality of a 700, 600 square foot place into 420 square feet. By doing that, and we wanted a really aggressive brief. So we wanted, I wanted it to be work at home, room for a couple, room to a civil manner to have guests, and I wanted to be able to entertain for sit-down dinner for 10 and store all my kite gear. So we got some great sponsors and we crowdsourced the design via a site called Javoto, and we got 300 entries. Winner, second-year architecture student from Romania. He's amazing, and we continue to work with him. And here's the project. We basically use multifunctional furniture and a moving wall and smart spatial design in order to get a ton out of the space. Here is the main space. You can see I'm big on the stand-up desk. That's my office, pops out of the wall. Here's a table that's stored elsewhere. It goes from 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 people. At nighttime, movie theater. And here's the moving wall, comes out, and these cool clay furniture folds down for your guests. Little privacy. My bed, 2 fingers, pulls this bed out of the wall. Little privacy there. Inside of the spare bedroom is all in wood. And the bathroom, we split into 2 different functions, so one person can't hog the bathroom. And because it's such a small space, sometimes you need to get away. And so we made the little WC a little place for a phone booth or a meditation room, or just if you want to go and scream. And here's the kitchen. You can see underneath the kitchen counter is that expanding table, the Goliath. Just a very simple modern kitchen. So what we've done is we've got a ton of functionality. We've basically got the 600, 700 square foot apartment in 400. So that makes a lot of sense financially at 1,000 plus a square foot. It's really healthy because we've got clean air and great materials. It's green, and it's a perfect fit for me. It's been really thoughtful. I have the possessions that I need, and I've really thought about it, so I'm really looking forward to living there. Green, why? As soon as you make something small, it's almost a necessity that it becomes greener. Less air means you're going to have less air to heat and cool and light and fill with stuff. Less stuff is obviously greener. Less materials to build the thing. And then we're going to do all the green things that you would expect in terms of renovations. So this stuff's not rocket science. It just takes a little looking around. We're trying to really pull it together. The future's here, and that's a beautiful thing. Architecture is one of the few places we can do a ton to help us financially and environmentally. What we're not saying is that the answer is 420 square feet, more kids, different needs. Obviously, it can get bigger. We're also not saying that this is the aesthetic. It could be many aesthetics. Nor that it be expensive. It's a little tricky, but we're working on that, and we believe we can do a lot with a little. We're also not saying get rid of all your possessions. So I'll close with, I just want to say that editing really, in my opinion, is the skill of this century. So whether it's your stuff, your space, how you spend your time, what media you intake, this is the skill of this century, and that less, really done well, can truly be more. Thank you.